Good evening, school board members. My name is Kyle Melton, and I want to thank you for taking the time this evening to listen to my proposal on how to improve student learning opportunities. My goal tonight is to present you with information that will explain my idea of reorganizing the learning centers and the classrooms at North Platte High School. At North Platte High School, there are 8 identical pods that have 7 classrooms each, 1 science lab, 3 breakout rooms, a learning center with a computer lab, and a teacher workroom. Currently, there is no plan of where each teacher's classroom is, and rooms are assigned to new teachers based on availability. It is my proposal that we rearrange the learning centers based on content area. Essentially, there will be an individual math pod, an English pod, a history pod, and so on. With research showing that professional learning communities are the most powerful form of development and change strategy available, it only makes sense to have our physical layout designed to encourage collaboration on a daily basis. Throughout this presentation, I'll explain my reasoning behind my decision. I plan on using the teacher workrooms in each pod as our collaboration space and study rooms instead of them just being wasted space where students go to hang out. I plan on using the breakout rooms for test makeups or student-led tutoring centers. So let's get started. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge that there will be some departments and teachers who will not be moved at all. For instance, the 2 band and choir teachers, the 4 industrial tech teachers, and the 3 PE teachers will not be discussed in realignment because their classrooms cannot be moved based on their rooms and shops that they are currently at. Also, because there are some interior rooms in the hallway in between the learning centers, 2 of the family and consumer science teachers and 2 of the business teachers will be in these classrooms. These teachers were selected based on the fact that 2 of the classrooms are connected to the kitchens for the family consumer science teachers, and 2 of the classrooms have been turned into computer labs for the business teachers. The second thing I want to point out before I explain the learning centers is the fact that with the way the school is designed, each of the 8 learning centers will house 1 of the science rooms. Because of the necessary equipment that is already built into the rooms, it would be impossible to create a new science pod. The last point I want to make is maintaining the freshman learning teams. Because the freshman year is one of many transitions, I believe keeping them together as much as possible continues to be in the best interest of those freshman students. So let's begin with the 1100 Learning Center. Beginning with the 1100 Learning Center, it should be noted that the teacher workroom in this pod has recently been converted to our alumni room. The alumni room is a place that teachers can hold meetings with parents or a room that you can reserve for any type of meeting. Because of this, the 1100 Learning Center is going to be our special education pod. I'm choosing this for 2 reasons. The first reason being that most of the meetings in the alumni room would be for IEP evaluations with parents. Because the special ed department uses this room the most, it would only make sense to allow them to be the closest ones to it. The second reason is that since most of the SPED teachers will co-teach classes around the school, this pod will have a better chance of being quiet as these meetings are going on without other students causing distractions. Moving on, the 1200 Learning Center is going to be home to our world language teachers and the TIES program. With 4 foreign language teachers in the school, having them all together would allow for collaboration and interaction between the various classes. Having the ability for a Spanish 4 class to interact with the Spanish 1 class will allow the students to gauge their readiness to move on. This pod will also be home to the TIES program. The TIES program is a transition classroom for students to ease their way back into the school's general population after coming from a placement by the court system. Because it is an all-inclusive alternative school, they will occupy 2 classrooms for adequate room.
The 13 and 1400 Learning Centers will be our freshman-specific pods. Each pod will include a math teacher, a science teacher, an English teacher, a social studies teacher, and a team-specific special ed teacher. Because the SPED teachers for the freshman teams will only be working with the freshman class, their classrooms will be in their home pods as opposed to the other special ed teachers who are in the 1100s.
With the freshman teams only occupying 5 of the 7 rooms in each pod, that will allow us to place some of the elective teachers in with them as their neighbors. In the 1300 pod, 2 English teachers who focus on basic communications, acting classes, and basic debate will be the ones joining them. In the 1400 pod, the 2 additional rooms would be occupied by another English teacher who is in charge of the yearbook and the school newspaper. One room would act as her classroom, and the other would be where the computers and all of the other equipment would be that would allow us to put out these news outlets.
Moving upstairs, the 2100 Learning Center would be the math pod. This would have the remaining math teachers all together in order for them to work together consistently and to encourage and mandate the implementation of the guaranteed viable curriculum they have developed over the past year. The teacher workroom would act as the headquarters for these teachers to meet and to give the team ample space to work. The teacher workroom would also act as the math lab. The math lab is a place that students can go to work with more one-on-one help when the teachers are available. Currently, it is part of the building far away from the math classrooms, and teachers are assigned to work it as a duty during their planned period. If the math lab is in the teacher's workroom, it would allow the students to be able to get the help from a variety of teachers and yet would still be able to speak with their own teachers if needed. The remaining 3 learning centers would all be very similar to the math pod. The 2200 Learning Center would host the social studies and history department. The 2300 pod would be a combination of the remaining business teachers and family consumer sciences. And the 2400 Learning Center would be the other 6 English teachers. Much like the math department, the English teachers are in the process of rewriting their curriculum, and this reorganization will allow them plenty of opportunity to work together throughout the school year. With these 3 pods, we could also develop a similar time to have a learning lab to provide extra help for the students. There could be a writing lab where students could come and get help with writing a paper regardless of what class it is in, or anything else. The idea would be to have the faculty perform a duty that could allow them to help the students rather than something like supervising lunch duty or hall duty where their expertise in their areas of content would not be used properly. To conclude, I understand that there may be some pushback from teachers in the school. Many of them have been in the same room for almost 10 years. But with your support, I'll explain to the teachers that the realignment is for the best interest of the students. The movement will be done over the summer by the school's maintenance staff, and room throughout the pods could be decided among the departments. Again, the overall goal is to encourage the cooperation of the professional learning communities that are already in place, and to raise accountability among the departments. Far too many times teachers meet together, discuss the changes that need to be made, and then continue to do the same things that they have always done.
As I leave, I'll leave you with a quote. If you want to go fast, work alone. If you want to go far, work together. As soon as you buy into this concept, our students are going to begin to soar. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.